Hi friends, and welcome back to StarsTree, where we break free from work addiction. I'm Sarit. As workaholics, we might feel like we are stuck, trapped in this world of endless work. We might have too much on our shoulders in terms of our workload, but we feel that we cannot afford to risk our career trajectory by scaling back on our work investment. We might feel like being a hard worker is a critical part of our identity, and accordingly, even though we are unhappy, we don't want to make dramatic changes that would risk who we are. We might simply feel that saying no is not the right thing to do. This approach would keep us working without ever taking into consideration our other wants and needs, let alone our emotions. Different past experiences and life situations can contribute to us feeling as though we are stuck in this very unfavorable situation, a life in which we are mostly unhappy, and during too many days we are even miserable. I am talking about helplessness. You are working very hard, so you are certainly objectively very active, but in a certain way you have given up. You have given up on improving your life situation. You have given up because you genuinely feel you don't have other options but to keep working hard and feel miserable. Even though logically you do have options, you personally just don't consider them viable. If you are feeling hopeless, please reach out for help and take it seriously. According to research, hopelessness is a strong predictor of adverse health outcomes independent of depression and traditional risk factors. Research shows that people can feel hopelessness in situations that are objectively not hopeless at all. A very significant contributor to this phenomenon is limiting beliefs and fixation on how we should live our lives. A very dominant part of our brain tends to prefer survival on top of anything else. And even if our current life situation is miserable, this is what's familiar, and so our mind tends to view it as safe. Changing our situation is perceived as a risk in our heads, and it is hard to see the upside potential. It is hard to see that in many cases we will be saving our lives if we only had the courage to make changes. The paradox here is that the change we are so afraid of that we perceive would lead to considerable discomfort and therefore we feel stuck is actually going to ultimately lead to much more well-being and happiness in our lives. As Maya Angelou said, stepping onto a brand new path is difficult, but not more difficult than remaining in a situation which is not nurturing to the whole woman. One of the most significant contributors to my past hopelessness was my limiting belief that quitting is bad, and therefore I should never quit. And let's just say that even just cutting back on my workload felt like quitting to me back then. Not sure what a limiting belief is? Go watch my video on limiting beliefs and work stress right after this one. I was working extremely hard because of different reasons that together drove me to the conclusion that hard work would result in a better life or would lead me to the life I wanted to live. In real life, over the long run, the workload got really heavy. I was constantly stressed and worried, and I suffered most of the time. But I didn't stop to question how I was living and reevaluate whether my way of working so hard is leading me to where I wanted to go in the first place. By This time I was so committed to the rules I once decided on that they became my cage instead of a pathway to reach my goals. It is essential that you open your mind to this reality that you do have options. You owe it to your life to be a bit more flexible. Remember that a tree that is unbending is easily broken. Sit down with someone that you trust and discuss how you feel. Think the situation through together and write up a list of your options. For example, set boundaries on when and where you work. Talk with your boss and clarify things must change. Talk with a professional that can help you deal with your work stress or work addiction tendency. Attend a workaholics support group meeting in person or online. Delegate, get help, and more. On the one hand, be kind and gentle with yourself. On the other hand, don't use that as an excuse to stay in your comfort zone. Gather courage and select an approach to get you out of your cage. See this hopelessness as a warning sign and reach out for help that would support you in seeing your options better. Remember to keep an open mind. Thank you so much for watching. Please like, subscribe, and share with someone that you think needs to watch this message. Want to break free from work addiction? Come visit me over at StarsTree.com. I'd be so happy to see you there.